You ever see one of those moments that just flips your whole idea of how wild people can get? Like, I've dealt with entitlement before. Real jaw-dropping, finger-snapping. You gotta be kidding me, kind of entitlement. But let me tell you, nothing in my life prepared me for what went down yesterday morning on the neighborhood shuttle. The craziest part? The bus wasn't even moving when it started. Just sitting there in the rain, quiet as a library, when suddenly, out of nowhere, this voice slices through the air so sharp you'd swear somebody fired a gun. Move. Now, let me back up a sec because I know how it sounds. You're probably picturing some cranky commuter. Nope. This was Deborah Wellington, standing right in the middle of the aisle, rain dripping off her luxury trench coat onto the rubber floor like she'd just emerged from the sea. If sea monsters carried HOA binders and a burning grudge. If you live in Pine Grove Estates, you know the name. She's the Queen Karen, the one everybody dreads running into at the mailbox. The kind of woman who can silence a crowd with just one snap of her clipboard. And this morning, she's not yelling at some adult or even a teenager her own size. She's looming over this quiet 14-year-old kid, Jamal, who's hugging his backpack like it's the only thing standing between him and a firing squad. Picture this. It's barely 8 a.m. Everyone's half awake, coffee still steaming in their hands. And here comes Karen, acting like she owns the oxygen. She storms down the aisle and locks eyes on Jamal, this sweet, quiet kid who just wants to get to school. Then demands, I need that seat because I'm more important. Not can I sit, not excuse me, just pure, uncut Karen energy. Every conversation on that bus dies instantly. Even the driver, Mike, nearly wrenched his neck whipping around to see what the hell was going on. It was like time stopped. And poor Jamal, he just blinks up at her, eyes big, polite, so confused. This grown woman, decked out in expensive rain gear, barking orders before sunrise. Who does that? The rest of us? We're frozen, but not for long. I saw 3 phones out before she'd even finished her second sentence. Everybody knew exactly who she was. For 3 years, Deborah's been running Pine Grove like her own little kingdom, ruled by citations, petty fines, and the world's longest list of imaginary rules. Folks always joked you couldn't sneeze within city limits without getting a letter from her, warning you about unapproved noise activity. When I first moved here, I thought they were exaggerating. Oh, I learned real quick. Let me give you a taste. She fined the Johnsons for hanging the wrong color bird feeder. She brought a ruler to measure the height of my neighbor's lawn. She left a warning on my door because my recycling bin was 3 inches too far to the left. 3 inches. So yeah, when she marched onto that shuttle, scanning for violations like she was TSA, no one batted an eye. But even for Karen, this was new territory, harassing a kid. On a public shuttle, no less. Now, you should know, the shuttle's a brand new thing in our neighborhood. City started it up last month to help get students and residents around, keep the traffic down. Most of us love it. Karen, naturally, hated it, until she realized there might be some imaginary priority seating for people like her. And there's Jamal, minding his business, sitting quietly. When she storms over, he even gestures at the sea of empty seats around him, trying to reason with her. Ma'am, there's plenty of room. Wrong answer. Her eyes go wide like he just insulted the Queen's crown. Do you know who I am? I run this neighborhood. You need to move. Suddenly, it's like even the engine's afraid to hum. Mike, the driver, tries to smooth things over. Ma'am, there's a seat right there. But she doubles down, plants herself right in front of Jamal, and starts lecturing the whole bus, waving that HOA binder like she's holding the Constitution. This is exactly what happens when you let children think they have rights they didn't earn, she shouts, voice echoing off the windows. You could see people's patience evaporating one by one. That's when Sarah Rodriguez, the kind of neighbor who bakes for everyone and calls it like she sees it, finally snaps. Karen, sit down. You're harassing a child. Karen spins around so fast, her raincoat flares out like she's some kind of villain in a movie. This boy needs to learn respect. Jamal just winces, eyes glued to the floor. I didn't do anything, he says, voice barely above a whisper. And that, Karen declares like she's just cracked the case, is disrespect. People are groaning, muttering. Phones are still up. The rain is pelting the windows now, like even the sky's tired of this. Mike's done. He pulls over, stands up, and makes it official. Ma'am, you need to choose a seat or get off the shuttle. You'd think that'd be the end, but not with Karen. She gasps, one hand to her chest. Real dramatic. You can't talk to me like that. I'm the HOA president. Mike doesn't even blink. That has nothing to do with this shuttle, ma'am. That's when she really loses it. And here's the twist. When logic finally hits the wall with a Karen, they build a new one out of pure delusion. This boy threatened me, she suddenly screams, pointing at Jamal. The entire bus erupts. Lady, you didn't say a word. Stop lying. Karen claps her hand to her chest again. Oscar-worthy, truly, I'm being attacked. I feel unsafe. I need emergency services. But Mike's already called the police, thank God. Within minutes, the shuttle's flanked by patrol cars. Karen sprints to the officers like she's running a victory lap, launches into this breathless story about how she's been victimized, discriminated against, denied her priority because of her important community role. The officers, you could see it on their faces. They've met her kind before. They ask for witness footage. 8 people, 8. Hand over their phones, no hesitation. 10 minutes later, the officers come back, looking like they've aged a year in the process. Ma'am, you're the aggressor, one says. Karen's eyes bug out, like she's never heard those words in her life. No, check again. I'm the HOA president. The officer doesn't miss a beat. Yes, ma'am. That is not a legal jurisdiction. The entire bus bursts out laughing, except Karen, who tries to storm off. The officers ask her to stop. She doesn't. They reach out, barely touch her arm, and she shrieks, "This is assault. I'm calling 911 on all of you." One of the cops, not missing a beat, goes, "Ma'am, you can't call 911 on officers while you're being detained." Karen fires back, "Oh, yes, I can." Next thing you know, she's in handcuffs, face morphing from outrage to disbelief to full-blown meltdown. I'm more important. You can't do this. I'm the HOA president. But oh, they could, and they did. By the next morning, every resident in Pine Grove had seen the video. Even my cousin in Dallas sent me the link like, "Is this your neighborhood?" And by that evening, the impossible happened. Deborah Wellington's reign was over. No more surprise citations. No more ruler-wielding walk-bys. No more threats about unapproved activities. She was just another neighbor, except, with a shiny new mugshot. Now, let me ask you, what would you have done if you'd been there? Would you have spoken up or kept your head down? Because sometimes standing up to a bully isn't about winning some grand victory. It's about making sure the next kid or the next neighbor doesn't have to deal with that mess alone. Drop a comment below if you've ever witnessed a real-life Karen meltdown. Heck, tell me where you're watching from. Do you think community power should come with more checks? Or does karma have a way of sorting these things out? And hey, don't forget to share your stories or thoughts about justice, right versus wrong, or that one time you saw entitlement get its comeuppance, because honestly, in today's world, these are the stories we all need to hear.